If you spent the 90s trying to be the cool girl, and now you're a 48-year-old rage volcano because Dave left the spoon in the sink, this is why. In 1995, if you had a boundary, you were drama. If you had a feeling, you were psycho. You were trained to be the girl who could hang out with the guys, drink like a sailor, laugh at every joke, and never ask for a goddamn thing. Well, it's 2026, and the warranty on your patience has just expired. And surprise, you actually have a personality this entire time. By the end of this video, you'll know why that 90s cool girl programming screwed up your relationships, and it's all blowing up now in midlife, and what it looks like to finally retire her and be a real human being instead of a childhood hologram. If your low maintenance phase turned into a full-blown midlife malfunction, hit that subscribe button. This is going to be your genx group therapy with swearing and no scented candles. But first, let's define that beast. The 90s cool girl wasn't a person. She was an Olympic athlete of repression. She drank beer, knew the stats of the 98 Yankees, and never, ever asked, "So, what are we?" She was the anti-Karen. She was basically a dude you could hang out with who didn't mind if you forgot her birthday because she was too chill for calendars. They all tried to be her. It was exhausting. It was like living in a permanent state of sucking in your stomach, but for your soul. You can only hold on to that for so long before something rips. In your 20s, high maintenance was the ultimate insult. You wanted him to not flirt with your sister? High maintenance. You wanted him to show up when he said he would? Drama. You wanted to know if you were actually in a relationship? Psycho. So you adapted. You became low maintenance, easygoing, and the girl who didn't need much. But here's the problem. Everyone has needs. If you didn't express them, they don't disappear. They just ferment in the basement like bad batch of Zima. Fast forward 20 years, that chill girl is now a 48-year-old woman who detonates because someone left a spoon in the sink. He's standing there like, "You used to be so easygoing." No, Dave, she wasn't easygoing. She was auditioning. And the play is over. The theater is on fire, and she's the one who lit the match. Tell me in the comments, what was the most ridiculous thing you swallowed just to seem cool back then? Yeah, I heard it. The second I say it, I'll pay for that in the comments, I'm sure. But if any of this memory just punched you in the gut, that's your sign to subscribe. You clearly belong here. It was the ultimate 80s flex. I don't get along with other women. Too much drama. You threw your own gender under the bus for a bar stool next to a guy watching the man show and rating you on whether you were hot enough to be there. You traded emotional intimacy for hanging out. But you can't build a life on hanging out. You can't raise kids, juggle aging parents, navigate a mortgage, and survive healthcare with a buddy who just wants to watch reruns and chill. You need a partner because you spent the 90s treating feelings like a design flaw. You walked into adulthood with the emotional intelligence of a Tamagotchi. And just like those toys, your relationships are starving because nobody remembered to press the nurture button. Here's the problem. You can't build a life on hanging out. And by the time you figured that out, you weren't 22 in a bar anymore. You were 45 with a mortgage, kids, aging parents, and a partner who has no idea who the hell you are. The fallout from that? And this is where it really gets ugly. Remember the 90s definition of a psycho? Any woman who had a normal reaction to being treated like shit, didn't call for 3 days, and she was mad? Psycho. Asked where the relationship was going? Psycho. You were so terrified of that label that you overcorrected into hyperindependence. And now you've got a generation of Gen X women drowning by refusing to ask for help because their internal 1996 narrator is screaming, "Don't be a burden, stay cool." And the men in your lives, half of them feel totally redundant because you've been handling it alone for so long, you don't even know where they fit. So you end up living with roommates you occasionally argue with about the thermostat and whose turn it is to call the plumber. That's not a partnership. That's a timeshare with resentment. So what do you do now that the cool girl has totaled the car and fled the scene? Well, first, admit that she's dead. She was never real. She was a fictional character written by guys in the 90s writer's room who were probably on enough blow to kill a horse. Ladies, stop apologizing for having a pulse. Having needs doesn't make you too much, it just makes you a prop. If you're too much for someone, go find someone who's just as dysfunctional as you are, but at least willing to talk to you about it. It's 2026. You're too old to be chill. You are tired, you are loud, and you want your goddamn birthday celebrated. Bare minimum. You want the people in your house to act like they actually know who you are. Being real is a lot harder than being cool. But at least you don't have to pretend you like beer anymore. Most of you watching this aren't subscribed. You keep coming back like it's your secret support group, but you won't commit. That's classic Gen X shit right there. If you survived the 90s without a lobotomy and you're done being low maintenance, hit the subscribe button. Or don't. I'm not your mother. But if you want more no bullshit survival skills for the mental health damage that we laughed off in the 80s and 90s, stick around. Drop a comment. What's your most unhinged cool girl moment? Oh, and by the way, don't feel like I'm centering you out just yet. My next video, I'm coming after the guys the same way. I'll see you in the next one.